I'd like to welcome everyone this morning to today's formal announcement. I know it's no secret at this point that we're here to introduce J.J. Eckert as NSU's 20th head football coach. But on behalf of our Athletics Communications Director, Don Veith, I'm Tony Duckworth, Director of Athletics at Northeastern State, and we're thrilled you're here and are a part of this great day. At this point, I would like to welcome Northeastern State's President, Dr. Steve Turner, to have some remarks, and then I'll come back up to introduce Coach Eckert. Let's welcome Dr. Turner.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Northeastern State University, I do want to welcome you. I also want to thank you for your interest, passion, love for athletics at Northeastern State. I will say at this moment that I appreciate those on the committee. They will be recognized a little bit later. But from me to you, thank you for the work, the hours that you spent sorting through a very, very large pool of applicants and getting us to this point. Let me say that in now about 7 years as president of Northeastern State, I have never attended one of these press conferences for one of our sports. Mostly because I think it's very important that the athletic director is the face and is the administrator in charge. But I chose to be here today because we need change in the NSU football program. We need to be competitive. We need to have a culture of where our student athletes are first students, second they're athletes. We need someone that can teach them and help them be better citizens. We need to be out there when our fans enjoy every part of the game day experience. And so my presence today is to say this is important to the institution, that we change and create a new culture. It's important to me personally that our football program go in a different direction. And I think the person that will do that for us is J.J. Eckert. So J.J., on behalf of my office and the institution, congratulations and welcome. And thank you all for your support. Part 2 is that you continue to support with your presence, finances, in every way, support this coach in this program. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. I can't tell you as an AD how important it is in this era of NCAA athletics that you have the support of your president and CEO at institution. And so thank you, Dr. Turner, for your support during this search process. I did want to, besides welcoming you guys to, how many is this your first time in the renovated locker room? Okay. This is what we somewhat call a leadership circle in this area, so we're really proud of it and what it's going to mean to our program in terms of recruiting and retention, as well as how it's going to be a great resource for Coach Eckert and his new staff. Before I began talking to any candidates, before the search process really began, as Dr. Turner and I were talking about how we wanted to shape this search, one thing that I was really committed to was putting together an advisory group. And before the job even posted, I'd like to thank Tom Eckert for the time that he spent with me on multiple occasions just talking about the football program, not specifically candidates, but just what are some things that we need to do to put our program in a position where we can be more competitive. I had a great conversation with Alan Trimble, Lauren Montgomery over at Bixby High School, Dallas Curtis, Lauren and Dallas, former players here. Larry Gibson was someone from a coaching perspective that was involved even in the interview process that gave some really good insight. And then I reached out to a former athletics director that happened to be a retired conference commissioner, Dr. Bob Borichter. He was the longtime AD at Northwest Missouri, so he had some really good insights on things that we need to be looking toward to make this happen. And then, of course, we fast forward and move into, as the president and I made a decision about who we would like to invite to be a part of our screening committee. And I'd like to acknowledge those individuals, and I know some are in the room. Certainly want to recognize Tim Baker for his service. I know he's unable to be here today. I know his son Jay, in a sense, as a former player, can represent Tim Baker. Certainly want to think about Dr. Janet Buzzard. Is she in here? Our Dean of the College of Business and Technology. Thank you for your service. Matt Cochran, our Senior Associate AD, an NSU alum and has been connected with athletics for several decades. Larry Dotson, an alumnus, former player and local businessman. Thank you, Larry, for being here and your service as well. Billy Flint, who's an alumnus of NSU and an employee at this time, and a season ticket holder. So we're glad that Billy was a part of our process as well. Dee Gerlach represented our faculty as our faculty athletics representative. Justin Guile, are you here, Justin? An alumnus and local businessman. Lauren, I see you back there from an advisory standpoint. Good to see you, Lauren. Dalen Smith, who is our student body president. Are you around or maybe not? And then, of course, Greg Wadley, who's recovering from a back surgery very well, but Greg has been a great supporter of NSU and NSU athletics for a number of years. And then Doc Wilkins, an NSU alumnus and local caregiver here. Is Doc here? Not sure, but thank all those individuals, and let's please recognize them at this time. Real quickly, I'll wrap up because I know you guys aren't here to hear me talk, but I did want to put into context a little bit about what were we looking for as a committee in terms of characteristics of a new head coach. You know, our ideal coach. The number one thing that we were really committed on was being in a position where we could identify a coach that was a proven winner as a head coach. They had been in that chair and they had had success. The second thing is, and this is maybe something that the old AD as a former coach kind of put in, I wanted a ball coach. You know, I wanted more than just a CEO. You're dealing with, over 100 student athletes, and so there is an element of administration and oversight, but I wanted someone when they're on that chalkboard or grease board or out there on that turf, that they were committed to getting their hands dirty and coaching a position or two and being heavily involved. And certainly that's something that we were really, really proud of. We wanted someone that had ties to Oklahoma in this region, and we certainly accomplished that in many ways. We wanted someone that had a real connection to student athletes. And I see Jenny's in here. She was in the room the other night when he met around 60 of our current football student athletes for the first time. And boy, if you didn't, I'm an old 8-man private school football player only in high school, but I was ready to suit it up after that 20-minute conversation. So it was a great connection with those student athletes, and that's only shows what's going to be in the future. And someone that appreciates NSU and understands who we are as an institution and is going to excite our former players, our alumni, our student body, and our community. And I think we have a pretty good representation here that we got our guy that's going to be able to do that. And then you roll that all into just the intangibles that J.J. Eckert brings to the table. Really is exciting for the future of NSU football. The final thing, I'd be remiss as an AD if I didn't say this. We've got hundreds, and I would even say thousands of people that are in Green Country that are in tune with NSU football. They know what's going on with NSU football. The time is now that we have people that are going to step up and get engaged. J.J. Eckert cannot do this by himself. The athletics department cannot do it without a lot of people stepping up and making this a reality. I got a call today from Dallas Curtis over in Oklahoma City, and he already told me that his goal by January 1 is that he rallies 100 former NSU football players to give a minimum of $100 between now and January 1 to infuse some cash into a very important season that JJ is about to encounter, and that's recruiting. So that's the first start of hopefully many other things that are going to happen as a result of JJ being our head coach. At this point, I would like to welcome J.J. Eckert, the 20th head football coach at Northeastern State. front of you. Yes. Number 20. Yes. And we're going to get a couple pictures here.
Certainly.
Everybody good? Appreciate it.
Wow, how awesome is this? I mean, to be able to sit here today, President Turner, thank you so much for the opportunity, Mr. Duckworth, the screening committee, and how fitting to me is it for it to be in this place right here. I mean, to be able to tell you some things that probably took place in this area, and some of the things that, you know, the players and student athletes that walked through these doors and had a locker room here and, you know, called this great institution home through many years. It's such an honor to be able to be here in that setting. I mean, I'm so appreciative to the opportunity. I mean, I think to me, you know, I told myself, you know, I left Texas last night about 8:45, so, you know, I was having some mental talks on the way up here. I said, keep it together, you know, don't get emotional, make sure everything can, you know, handle the way you want it to be handled. But, you know, it's just such an honor. I mean, to be able to be back in Tahlequah, to be at Northeastern State University, and ultimately to be here to see all these faces. I mean, I'm very appreciative. I mean, it's such an honor to be able to have, you know, I look back there and I see a high school coach that I think the world of, and, you know, I sent a text to him the other day, and I told him I maybe didn't understand some stuff as a 15-year-old sophomore, but, you know, when you're 44, it's a little different deal. It makes a lot more sense today than it did back then. So, you know, I'm very appreciative to see Coach Cooper, and thank you so much for being here today. And I could say that to a lot. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm very honored. You know, I'm feel very privileged to have this chance. I mean, you know, when you go through the process, you know, I've always said, I mean, my father always talked about, hey, why don't you be a golfer? Why don't you go be a golf pro? You know, I mean, don't have to worry about the other stuff. I never listened to that. You know, my sister obviously had a little different thought process, and she played it a little bit different, and it worked out well for her. But to me, it's just one of those deals that, I mean, football and the game itself has always been my passion. I mean, I remember sitting in Miss Fuson's class as a fourth grader drawing plays, and I don't know if it was going to work, but it sure looked good on paper. I mean, that son of a gun had some stuff to it. And, you know, as you go through this process, I mean, you know, there's so many memories here. There's so many memories. I mean, I can tell you, I see Jay Baker back there. I don't know how many times we had tape ball wars running around the stadium. And when you be hiding and you look up and get blasted by a tape ball, and, you know, you never know how the other thing, you know, where the other guys were hiding at in the process. So what a special place. I mean, this locker room, you know, there's a lot of memories here. I remember when there was always after each home game, there was always a cooler that had NSU on it that always had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful amount of pineapple juice that we passed out to the players after each game. And, you know, that's a small memory, but it made a lasting impression on me. And, you know, I just, you know, it's got so much more. You know what I mean? I think when you start talking about the opportunity to return home and to a place that you grew up at, I mean, it's just the passion is so much greater. The opportunity, the desire to succeed, the will to want to be successful is obviously, you know, a very, very, you know, important aspect. And I think that when you look at that, I mean, I go back and embrace the legacies of, you know, with Coach Stratton, and then you go into Coach Norwood. I remember being babysitted by them at a young age when I was little, and to Coach Elliott. I mean, what a great man. And then obviously, you know, it's you know, I always sit there and take a bunch into it, but I'm very appreciative, you know, of my dad and the things that I was able to learn from him, not only as a coach, but as a person. Because a lot of those things I carry with me today, you know, ultimately we all can probably imagine time was one of those important aspects. And obviously that's one that I have today, just in the little details of this of the overall scheme of things. But I'm very appreciative to be able to be standing here today. And I could say that 1,000 times. The next process is, where do we go from here? And you guys know, just like I know, this is not an easy situation. I mean, I'm talking about recruiting 101. It's not easy. I mean, you've got to go find some people that, end of the day, have, number one, a connection to Tahlequah, Northeastern State University, and this region of Oklahoma as an important aspect of getting the right student athletes in here. But number two, getting guys that want to be here. To me, that's the thing that I think is the most important aspect, is finding individuals that find this to be a great place, as we all know it is. And I think that will be obviously one of the challenges, we're behind in recruiting, there's no doubt about that. But obviously, you know how recruiting is today, it's a little longer process than it once was. So ultimately, you know, we want to work hard on recruiting the great state of Oklahoma and getting as much great talent as we can out of here, and then ultimately have a chance to move in from there and maybe find a transfer here and there, and maybe have a chance to find some out-of-state players in the process. But I hope that we can do a great job collectively, number one, of getting a great staff put together, ultimately from there having a chance to go out and recruit, you know, all the areas of Oklahoma that we can get into, and then have a chance to start putting together moving forward. And I'll be honest with you. The other night was very important to me. It was very important to me on Tuesday night. I sit there, and me and Mr. Duckworth had talked about getting a Skype lined up and having a chance to see the players over a computer. I didn't like the way that sounded. I didn't want my first meeting with the football guys at Northeastern State University to be over a computer. And luckily, there's a good friend that has one of those things that fly really, really fast, and he was able to land in Muskogee, and we were able to get an unbelievable Uber driver and my wonderful sister, and come get us picked up. And, you know, we walked into that meeting, and I looked in that room, and there was about 60 student athletes in that room, and walked around the corner, and, you know, Mr. Duckworth was sitting there messing with the computer, the projector, and all the other stuff. And I just kind of walked in, and everybody just kind of looked, because no real idea. I said, is there a connection problem? And boy, he turned around, and Mr. Duckworth got fired up. So, I mean, that was special to me, because I wanted to be able to see each and every one of them. I wanted to have a chance to see the gentlemen, you know, that are part of the football program here, that want to be part of the football program here. And that was exciting to get a chance to, you know, meet, shake hands. We talked for a while, got some questions answered. And ultimately, you know, the greatest question I heard out of the whole thing is, what do you need out of us? And when you get that question, that is a positive step in the right direction. Obviously, you know, I told them some things that you'd like to be able to see moving forward, and, you know, kind of looking back, you know, or moving forward into January. And I talked about just being great ambassadors of this great institution. I mean, we need some recruiting help out of you, and anything you can do in the process to ultimately make it where we can get, you know, being behind can get caught up in the process. So, you know, I thought that was an important day, to be able to have that chance to see them, to talk to them, to ultimately, you know, have a chance to, you know, say we're looking to the future, we're looking to things that are out in front of us, and having a chance to build from there. So that was a great day, and this is a great day as well. And I think looking at it, you know, when you start talking about where we've got to go, there's some great challenges. We know there's some great football teams that are in this MIAA. There's some great teams. But there's been a lot of great teams at Northeastern State University, too, through the years. So when you start talking about that, I mean, we've got to do a great job of ultimately, you know, putting the right culture together. We've got to get a situation put together where guys want to be able to come to Northeastern State University. And I think this foundation of this first class is important. I think this first class is one of those classes that you're able to lay a solid foundation that you can continue to recruit to in year 2 and year 3 and year 4. And you're not having to go out each year and sell, you know, well, we're this, we're that. You're able to let the players do the selling, because they're the best ones. They're the ones that sell your program to the best to recruits and parents and so forth. So, you know, that's something that I'm ultimately looking forward to. I'm so happy to be back in the great state of Oklahoma. I thought the other night when that plane was going, I looked at it, was going 571 miles per hour. And I was like, this thing can't get there any faster. I mean, I was ready to cross that Red River and get back up north. And, you know, I mean, I think that's exciting to have a chance to get in some high schools. I mean, to be able to go to Bigsby High School and have a chance to go see Coach Montgomery and some of his student athletes that possibly would have a chance to recruit. And then there's a lot of places like that throughout the state. So, you know, I think saying that, you know, we've got, you know, a lot of work to do on that side, but I believe we'll be able to get caught up slowly but surely, and hopefully have a chance to, you know, get moving in the right direction as we go. But as far as, you know, the overall picture of things, you know, again, I feel extremely fortunate today. My wife sent me a text earlier, and I promise you I have the absolute best wife you can imagine. I have 3 great children, 2 of them twins at 4 years old, so sometimes you know how that goes. Sometimes that can be a challenge. And I've always liked to kid my parents when I show up. I'm always like, do you guys like to see the brake lights or the headlights? You know what I'm talking about? As grandparents, you know how that scenario can be sometimes. It's real easy. I dropped them off before Thanksgiving. They sit here the whole week, and they saw the headlights, and they were all excited when they got dropped off. They looked like whipped dogs when we were leaving that Saturday. So now, guess what? that thing just changed. That thing just changed immensely. So you can imagine how that whole thing will be. And, you know, I go back and, you know, I sit there and I've leaving a place where, you know, my wife and her family's been, you know, we've been there for 17 years. And how many times do you get to move into another job and you get to move into your family back home? And I think that to me, you know, is a big deal. I mean, I'm so excited to see so many faces here today. I'm so excited about seeing so many people that I've known for a long, long time. And ultimately, it warms my heart to ultimately be, well, last night about 1 o'clock, I crossed into Cherokee County, and you should have seen the smile on my face when I did that. I mean, that was one of those deals. Even though I was a little exhausted, it was absolutely an unbelievable feeling knowing to have that opportunity to be able to be back here and be back home. So, you know, they always say there's nothing like home. You know, it's one of those deals that whenever you've been gone for a while, it means that much more to you. You know what I'm saying? It means that much more to have that chance to be able to return back to a place that means a bunch to you. I mean, you know how that goes. I mean, whenever you grow up a coach's kid, you know, there's all kind of memories that go in that equation, and hopefully we have a chance to, you know, move forward and have a chance to get going in the right direction from there. So, again, I can't thank everybody here enough today. I'm so excited about seeing all the faces and the people here today, and, you know, truly look forward to a great opportunity. I mean, if there's anything we can ever do to help out in the equation, you know, please don't hesitate to call, and I want to make sure that we can obviously, you know, make Northeastern State University a great place for student athletes to be, and hopefully we can find a way to be competitive in the process as well. So thank you. I appreciate it. Any questions? Anybody got any questions?
We'll start out with any media members. Anybody in the group want to ask a question?
Nobody.
What's first on the agenda, JJ?
First on the agenda is go out and get in the recruiting circles and be able to get the staff put together. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest aspect above anything else. I mean, that's got to be the focal point. You know, I want to be able to get that process handled because that's so important. I mean, we've got obviously some GAs that are here right now. We're going to have a chance to sit down and talk and get a firm base on, you know, kind of where we're at in recruiting right now. But more importantly is getting everything else put together so we can go get, you know, out in front of some people, be able to get into some high schools, be able to get into some homes, and have a chance ultimately to be able to get out there and get the word out and have a chance to talk and let them see our excitement and how, you know, passionate we are about this situation and about Northeastern State University, and have a chance to get in the recruiting circles. Because, you know, that's the tough part. I mean, recruiting's turned into a little different game today. And when you're entering the race with about a month and some change to go, that gets a little bit difficult sometimes. But you never know. There's some individuals, I believe, out there that hopefully we can get connected with, that find it to be a great opportunity, and obviously feel like it'd be a great chance for them to succeed both academically and athletically. So, you know, that's obviously the first thing that we've got to get moving in the right direction on for sure. Yes, sir.
JJ, if we want to help by donating money or whatever, who do we get in contact with?
Well, I'm sure that Mr. Duckworth would be probably the first one, obviously, in that equation to be able to get everything set up in that direction. And, you know, obviously, if you'd like to take that.
Yeah, certainly. That Dallas Curtis, the gentleman that I was talking about over in Oklahoma City that's kind of working his circles and things, certainly if you're in the area, you're more than welcome to come by the athletics department. You can donate online, but if anybody wants to do a traditional write a check, just make that check out to NSU Football /Foundation, and you can feel free to send it directly to Tony Duckworth, and I'll make sure. I know he's got Coach has got his work cut out for him over the next several months, so we'll help facilitate that and get that in the football account so it's supporting their efforts moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I was impressed by your statement as far as your ultimate goal for student athletes. I think it'd be good for all of us to hear that, not just an athlete, but a student athlete and life athlete.
Well, and I think that's what's such a neat deal. I mean, you know, I've been living in the world where, you know, I just had a young man this morning text me that went to the University of Ohio. He got offered a scholarship to go play at Ohio and be a Bobcat. And so I've been in the world where I've only seen half the process. You know what I mean? I've only seen that whole from the initial enrollment as a high school senior, and they go on to a 4-year school, and they have a chance to obviously get to that point. So, that's been one of those deals that I haven't had a chance to see the whole process. And I can go through so many individuals through the years that have came to Northeastern State University and what this has been for them, what this opportunity has created. And obviously, college is not easy. If college was easy, everybody would get a degree. And so, I think that's the one thing as coaches. I think that's the one thing as coaches that's so important is what you're developing. You're not just developing, obviously, football players. I mean, obviously, you're helping in some things player development-wise, but football is a great vehicle. It's a great vehicle in terms of what it's allowing you to be able to help turn in what you're turning out to be the next generation, great employee, next generation leader, a great husband, a great a dad, whatever that scenario might be. And so I think to me that's what's always been really, really important about seeing that is being able to help out. I'm not saying you made a difference, but being able to help out enough to let those 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old guys know you care about them, know you love and respect them, know that you're there for them through thick and thin, but knowing that you're there for the ultimate reason of having them have a chance to get a degree, having a chance to ultimately walk out these doors. And I think that's what's so neat. I mean, I'm just using Coach Montgomery, for example. I mean, he's got a degree from here. He's been, unbelievably successful at Bixby High School, but the pride he's got in this institution, the pride he's got when he comes back to Tallow, Oklahoma. And to me, that means so much. That means so much that when that connective dot is that passionate and it's that driven, obviously that was something that started when he was here. That started when he was here as an 18, 19-year-old fresh out of high school from Sand Springs High School. So, I think to me that's so important as far as being able to ultimately, you got to recruit. I'm a team guy. What did I break it out the other night? What was the statement? What did we break it out of Tuesday night? It's team, was it not? We said team. And I'm a team guy. And I believe you got to go recruit great team guys. You got to recruit great individuals that can turn into that. And so ultimately, when it comes to it, it's not a football issue. Football is just a byproduct. That's what they get to play. So ultimately, that side of the fence of being someone that can help monitor their academic progress, can help monitor their study halls, make sure that we can see what grade checks look like, be able to help them ultimately get a chance to earn that degree. That means everything. And then, like I said, then they end up, going out and have a chance to be very productive as, citizens in our society. And then ultimately, you got great pride in this institution. So as a coach, it's easy to draw up an inside zone scheme or draw up a run scheme or do something that ultimately looks good on paper, but that's not changing lives quite as much as that other side is. And I think that's something that I'm ultimately looking forward to. Again, that was one of those reasons of coming up on Tuesday night because I wanted those guys to see me and have a chance to hear that a little bit. So, hopefully that, we can do a great job because I've always believed no one's ever good at just one thing. Usually those good student athletes are usually good at other things as well. So hopefully that's something we can continue to hopefully build on and get those guys going in the right directions is understanding what a student athlete really, what we want them to be in 2019.
JJ, what kind of advice have you gotten from your father since taking
You know what's so unique about that? For as much as you guys, as much as some people would probably not believe this, he hasn't said one thing, he hasn't went one way or the other on it. He hasn't said anything, about a whole lot of stuff. Now, obviously, does he give me some things to think about? Now, I told a friend the other day, I said, there's a negative to that deal too. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, well, if I made a bad call and it was over the radio, it was one of those deals I just heard over a telephone conversation. Now you know what that's going to turn into. That's a little different monster now. That's a little bit different monster now. What the thing? You know what I mean when I say it like that too, because that didn't have a whole lot of other words going along with it sometimes. So, but I think as I say, I'm so proud to being able to, be able to talk to him about some things and be able to, have some feedback that ultimately that he's given me. And, again, I think just like anything else, the greatest advice is always going to be, it's going to come back to hard work. You know how it goes. Nothing's easy. It's never an easy process. Nothing's ever like that. So, more than anything else, like I said, through the process, he never said one thing to me one way or the other. you know, he put it in my corner, my wife's and me. Me and my wife and my daughter met at Sonic last week for happy hour to kind of hash some stuff out. And so, you know, I mean, I appreciate that. I appreciate that from him, that he didn't, you know, go that direction. So I do know the one thing he's going to tell you. The one advice that I'm going to get as soon as I walk out of here is you better go find some cats. I know that's going to be one conversation piece. So that's going to be me to go get some recruits that can get some stuff going, and hopefully that can be what our next emphasis is for sure.